I believe that was a prophetic word given to me. And I just didn't want to hear it.
And sure enough, it happened.
Yeah, and sure enough, it happened. So, it was many years before my voice came back as strong as it is today.
Like how many years are you talking?
Well, maybe, 5 years?
Okay.
Or more. I never really marked it down on the calendar. The thing is, I was not able to sing, which really, that hurt me the most, that I no longer was able to sing and didn't have the range of voice. And, or teach either, I guess, even though gradually things came back. My voice came back, my spoken voice. But even today, I would say my singing voice isn't what it was.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Why do you think God allowed that to happen? Or why didn't you listen to the man who gave you that warning?
I think I had some disappointments along the way in my life. And one of the big disappointments was what had been happening in my own family, my home family. One day when we were in a Bible study on Tuesday nights, we'd go have Bible study. And my dad got up as a testimony, and he talked about the trials that Job went through.
Yeah.
And at that time, he kind of challenged God to prove that he would be faithful to the end, just like Job was. Mm-hmm. And I remember in my heart, so I was a teenager then, saying, "No, Dad, no, don't say that, Dad. Don't say that, Dad. You're going to be, that's horrible." I was so upset that he had kind of made that challenge to God.
Yeah.
And it did come true that God allowed many challenges to come into his life regarding his work and so on.
What kind of things happened?
Well, what happened with Dad is he always wanted to not just be a manager or work for somebody else. He wanted to work for himself. Mm-hmm. And in our church, there was a man that was wanting to sell his business. So my dad, along with a lawyer that also was in the church, decided they would buy this business from this gentleman. It was a trucking and moving company. And after they got into that business, they found that the books weren't really accurate, and there was some deception that had gone on, and the business failed. And within that failing business, there was a real trouble with my mom and dad with their marriage, because Mom had begged Dad not to go into that business, and Dad insisted. He's like, I'm like him a little bit.
Okay.
All right. This is what I think is right, and I'm going to do it.
But your mother had the wisdom to see that.
Yes.
Don't do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it caused a lot of problems in the family because the business failed.
Yeah.
And my dad's, who was so proud, he came down to knowing that he couldn't support his family anymore. He couldn't he couldn't be the man that he thought he should be, and this decision that he had made didn't go ahead, and he should have listened to Mom. And it was a big trouble. My dad eventually came around. His pride came to a place that he had to accept and ask forgiveness. And really, I have to say, the last 7 years of their marriage, of 57 years, that's the happiest 7 years of their marriage. They were really in love.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that they didn't love each other before, but it was a real change.
He'd been humbled.
He'd been humbled, yes.
And it just greatly amplified or made their marriage so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And that, of course, really affected me as the oldest child that was home. My older sister was gone. The other ones were still in school and so on. And Mom and Dad discussed a lot of their heartaches with me, and it did affect me. And I believe that it just verified that you can't really trust God because bad things will happen.
Okay. And in your case, you did have some bad things happen.
I did have some bad things, lost my voice.
But where you lost
and
your
my
voice, yeah.
family went through a lot of trials and troubles because of Dad's challenge to God, I think. But I think that any time we say no to God, we are already challenging God. It is also a challenge.
Yeah.
Say, I think I know better.
Yeah.